MartiniInTheMorning.com. I don't know why, but that song reminds me like of when I was a kid watching TV shows like American Bandstand and what were the other shows that?
I actually did that on the Donna Reed show.
Did you really?
Yeah.
The Donna Reed show,
and
Paul Peterson and
it kicked off the record. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny. Somebody was talking about Billy Vera was in the studio last week, and he was saying that one of the first songs he ever wrote, what really catapulted it and him as a songwriter, is that Ricky Nelson did one of his songs on the on the Ozzie and Harry show.
Well, Ricky Nelson started that whole thing of people who had TV shows and had the option of being able to sing on a TV show, and that's how Ricky became well known as.
How did you wind up on the Donna Reed show?
I was under contract to Columbia Pictures, and Screen Gems is a subsidiary of Columbia. So they wanted to plug Goodbye Cruel World.
That's too funny.
But they changed the lyric to Goodbye Cruel World, I'm off to join the service. Because I was going into the Army.
That's too funny. That was the character, the role.
The character,
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, Mother Miriam.
Let's talk about Jimmy's favorite picture.
Okay, you got to talk sideways on your mic.
Favorite picture.
Favorite picture?
Guns of Navarone.
Oh, that's certainly one of my... I have Guns of Navarone, Gidget, and I have a movie called Let No Man Write My Epitaph.
You were in that?
Shelley Winters, Burl Ives, Ricardo Montalban, Gene Seberg, Ella Fitzgerald.
Wow.
I mean, a whole bunch of incredible people. And that, to me, was probably my best performance.
Really?
I would think, yeah.
You and Ella Fitzgerald were pretty close friends.
Yeah, not really close friends, but I knew her well, and I absolutely adored her. She was just the most humble human being with a person of that incredible talent. I think I told you the story. She was performing at the Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, and I went backstage to say hi, and she was just about to go on, and she hugged and kissed me and said, hi, I love you. Hi, Jimmy. Oh, I'm so scared. I said, you're scared? Scared of what? She said, I'm scared they're not going to like me.
Oh, jeez. I said, Fitzgerald.
They're not going to what? They're not going to like me. I said, no, you're right. They're not going to like you. They're going to love you.
Good.
And I swear to you, when I hugged her, she was trembling.
Wow.
Literally. She walked on stage. They played her on. She opened her mouth. A few notes came out. The audience went nuts.
So you acted beside Ella in
Let No Man Write My Epitaph. It's a Willard Motley book.
Of all of your acting, television and movies, Vinny and Beer in Waterford, Michigan. Vinny wants to know, who was your favorite actress?
Oh, a couple. Gene Seberg was one, and she was adorable, and Sandra Dee. I mean, when I say favorite actress, they were my favorite people also. Do you know? So
you and the fellow with the same last name spelled differently.
Who, Bobby?
Yeah, you guys got to be pretty good friends.
Oh yeah, great friends.
And his wife, of course.
Yeah, that got really confusing because Bobby Darin and Jimmy Darin, and they didn't realize that spelling was different, and that our names were not really Darren. And then Bobby married Sandra Dee. I did a movie with Sandra Dee, so the confusion was really, and finally got to the point where Bobby. We used to play cards I think it was Thursday night at his house. Bobby said, you know what, Jimmy? From now on, we're known as Lipschitz and Lipschitz.
It's Jimmy Darin, not Jimmy Lipschitz, on MartiniInTheMorning.com. So Thursday night, Catalina Jazz Club, and you're going to do some standards. You're going to do some of the pop stuff. What kind of
film clips?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to do some video?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, I do it in a humorous way. I don't. It's nothing I take terribly seriously. It's fun. I poke fun at myself.
And you're gonna have a band, a piano?
Yeah, sure, a band.
Yeah, how many guys?
Sure.
How many people?
Probably about 9.
Really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's Thursday night, Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood, and Catalina's got to be excited because you haven't played You haven't done a nightclub in L.A.
in decades.
I was going to say, as long as I've known you for. We met probably 2003. We put the station on here, and I haven't seen you I haven't seen you perform anywhere.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, I've done performing arts centers and symphonies and things like that, but I've not done a nightclub in this state, let alone Southern California, in decades.
It's funny. As many times we've probably sat in a studio like this 7-8 times, maybe more than that, and I've never seen you perform.
Yeah.
So where have you been? Because I know you've been out. I know because
I travel all the time. I just got back. I did a show in Philly. I mean, all over the country. Then I went to London. There was a large Star Trek convention with Shatner and Patrick Stewart, and then I played a club one night, which was cool. You know?
In London?
In London.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Which club? Do you remember?
I think it's called Foxy's or Foxes. Yeah.
We're trying.
Cool.
One of these.
It's not that big. It's about 1,200 people.
That's a good sized club. Yeah. One of these days, we have a friend in Paris, Frederic Genet. He's a interior architect in Paris, and he's even done the T-shirts for Martinis around the world to do a world tour, and I'm keeping track of making a little mental note to the clubs in London and Paris and places like that, because one of these days we're gonna put together a group of artists and we're gonna go.
I did the Talk of the Town there also, which I may do again. There's something that's in the works for I think it's February, so I may do that. That's a beautiful club, the Talk of the Town, and it's right in Piccadilly. It's terrific.
Our friends in the UK will be very happy to hear that. I know Stephen Mangini's listening right now in Manchester, England, and I mentioned earlier Patricia in London. Yeah, I haven't been since I was. Oh my gosh, my early 20s is the last time I was there, and this music is so popular in Europe and the UK.
This came out of there.
That's true. So it's a compilation of your first 4 albums. And is it where can people find it?
On Amazon. That's where I got it. Amazon. It's called Goodbye Crew World, and it's like a blue background, kind of 3/4 picture of me, and it says Goodbye Crew World 2 CD set on it. First 4 albums.
I remember one day when we were at the old studio. You came by the studio one day, and we'd just talked not long before that, and you came by and you said, here's some songs that I don't think you guys have. Right. And one of the songs you brought over, and I told you we do the Twin Spin Tuesday thing where we play different versions of a song. And one of the ones I love to play on Twin Spin Tuesday, because so many people have done this song so many different ways. Like I'll play yours up against Bobby Darin's done it. Tom Jones does a very up-tempo version of this song, but it's one, and I think it's on that collection. It's Jimmy Darin on MartiniInTheMorning.com. MartiniInTheMorning.com. All right, Mother Miriam's playing stage manager and Jewish mother. She said that people are complaining they can't see Jimmy Darin's handsome face. Hey, do you still? I'm going to embarrass you. Do you still hide on your birthday?
Yes.
I remember years ago, one day I had you on the air. It was right before a birthday, and I think it was a significant one. And I remember thinking it was right around the time that I got sick. They thought I'd had a stroke, and Jimmy was so kind. I'd get home from a doctor's appointment, or I'd get home from work, and Karen would say, Jimmy Darin called. Jimmy Darin, when I was sick, called the house almost every day. Only person in Hollywood. I mean, I got a lot, we all have a lot of quote-unquote friends in Hollywood.
Sure.
But, at times like that, you know who your real friends are.
Yeah, because, I care about you.
Thank you. And so I was gonna call Jimmy on his birthday, and he said, don't bother.
Oh, no, that's okay. The funny thing is, I don't know if it's a guy thing or what. When you're 20 years old, you always feel like you're never going to make it to 30. I don't know why. Maybe because we live such a crazy life, which we all did, right? You're kind of mindless.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
Right, sure. So then you're 30, and it's like a bit depressing. Then 40, man, wow. 50, you're looking for the nearest bridge. I mean, you're like really like my goodness, at 50 years old, I'm, may go to the Verrazano Bridge or something.
Okay, next September I'll be 60. What do you do
Oh.
then?
I don't know.
You're not there yet. How would you know?
I don't know. I wish. Let me see. I just have a hell of a party. I've done things on my birthday. I was back east, and I'd be driving with my wife. I say, do not turn the radio on. Do not watch TV. Nothing, because I don't want to have people, wish me happy birthday. And I swear, the entire day we had no communication with the outside world except the people that we were face to face with in the restaurant, etc. And that was it. I never knew it was my birthday. I mean, I was happy to be living the next day.
It was funny when I turned 50, and back when we were on the radio here in Los Angeles, I was working with Gary Owens, who's one of my heroes in this business, and I was. To be honest, I was, excited that I was going to be 50 because there were people that I graduated from high school with who were betting I wouldn't make it to 50.
Oh, sure.
So I was excited about it. So I'm saying on the radio, I'm going to be 50, blah, 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 blah. And Gary and Mrs. Owens came in one day. Gary's getting ready to go on the air, and Gary went up to me, and I've told the story before. Marion's sick of hearing it, but it's so fun. It's what we were just talking about. Gary comes up to me, he said, Brad, there's a lot of age discrimination in Hollywood. You might not want to be telling people you're going to be 50. And Mrs. Owens said, if you want to say you're having a milestone birthday, tell people you're going to be 40. It's a hard 40, but you can pull it off. But it is funny. It's
true, too, though.
It is true.
It's absolutely true.
Although it's easier on men, I think, and this is a sad thing to say, easier on men than on women, and I'm not saying this because I poke fun at Mother Marion because she looks fabulous for 92, but it is there is a weird age phobia in Hollywood.
But it's interesting because I don't even think of years of age of what my age is. I just thank God I feel good.
Yeah, and you look great.
Thank you, and I just I can't do as many things. I can't ride my motorcycles like I used to ride them, hill climbing and things like that, desert racing, but I still love it. So I fall off more.
I find it hard, but falling isn't the big thing for me. It's just trying to get up again,
Yeah.
Jimmy Darin on martiniinthemorning.com. This is the coolest thing. This it's a compilation of Jimmy's first 4 albums. It's called Goodbye Cruel World, and it's available on Amazon. And there's some songs in here that we don't have. I'm anxious to listen to this. And it's available, you said, on Amazon?
Amazon, yes.
Are you a singer or are you an actor?
I don't know. I don't know. I think of myself as both, actually. I mean, I began professionally as an actor, but when I was a kid, I always sang, from age 8 to all through my teen years, and then got lucky and became an actor. But I love acting. I enjoy them both. Singing is a little more, it's easier because it's just a natural extension of me. Acting takes a little more work, to find and hopefully develop a character that is interesting. And then you were behind the camera for a while too. Yeah, directing. I'm not that insane about directing because it's very difficult. You have a lot of responsibility, like you have here. Seriously. I mean,
I got to take care of Mother Miriam.
No. I mean, you guys have a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
And so I like to direct, but if it was something that I really loved, it would be nicer.
Jimmy Darin on martiniinthemorning.com. Thursday night, Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood from his first album, interestingly enough, called...
Is it Let There Be Love?
Oh yeah. But no. It's but the album's called Album Number 1.
Oh, album.
MartiniInTheMorning.com, song that cut that he recorded 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, I was about 20 years old when I did that. Yeah.
What was it like being a kid? You were in the movies, you were singing.
I mean, when I remember distinctly recording that album number 1, because I had Billy May there and John Williams and Stanley Stein, Freddie Carter, who were literally standing on either side of me, helping me sing the song. You
Really?
know? Yeah, yeah, kind of coaching me. It was wild. It was great.
It's funny. That reminds me of a story that years ago we had the last. This has happened too many times. It's a little scary. The last interview that the great songwriter Jack Lawrence did on this earth, he wrote the English lyrics to La Mer, Beyond the Sea. He wrote Tenderly.
Yeah,
he wrote
beautiful.
All or Nothing at All. He tells a funny story that when Frank Sinatra recorded All or Nothing at All the first time in 1938, I think it was. So Frank was like 23 years old, 24 years old. Jack was in the studio, and Mr. Sinatra walks over to him and says, "So, what do you think?" And Jack said, "Well, I mean, he wrote the song." He said,
Sure.
"Well, if it had been me, I would have." And he said, Frank Sinatra said, "You're critiquing me?" and so, what's it like when you're in the studio and you're standing at the microphone and you got all these guys giving you input?
Well, then I was really open for it. Today I only because I've been doing it so long, I know where I am and how I feel comfortable and everything. When someone tries to coach me too much, I don't like it because it inhibits you. You start to you start to not be yourself.
The funny story: a fellow that we know, David Silverman. Is that still saying David? I posted his thing. David Silverman. He's a terrific piano player. Years and years and years ago, we've had him do some stuff for us, like at Vitello's and so on. But anyway, David told me a funny story that years ago he did a Johnny Mandel, Marilyn and Alan Bergman song,
Right.
and Marilyn and Alan heard his recording, hated it so much they rented a studio, took him back into the studio with musicians, and they said, "Okay, this is how you're going to do this song."
Right,
So
yeah.
that's got to be intimidating. As by the way, speaking of Marilyn Bergman, happy birthday, Marilyn.
Yes, happy birthday.
Today's her
Today's her birthday. Oh, happy! I know Marilyn.
What
She's
amazing
a doll.
people.
Yes, they're wonderful. She and Alan. Yeah, happy birthday.
We had Alan on a few months ago, but I've never interviewed Marilyn. I've met her and been in places where they, were to show her something. But
Well, I guess if you're that far off, where the composer says, you're really doing this totally the wrong way, then I'd be open to suggest, especially from those two brilliant people. They've written such incredible.
have you
tunes.
have you done any of their songs?
I don't know. I know them relatively well.
You did. You've done Nice and Easy. No,
No,
you haven't.
No, I love that song.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of anything of their, because I thought it's Marilyn's birthday. If you've
It's
done
so
one.
funny because I was at their house and I can't remember what for, rehearsing something years and years ago, and I cannot remember what it was. Maybe something I did on the Academy Award show, of theirs. I don't remember, but I do know, I know them both, and they're lovely people.
If there's a writer that writes songs that are more Jimmy Darin than other songs, who's the writer? If you were to, is there somebody in particular who
Probably Sammy and Jimmy Van Heusen.
they wrote some great songs?
Yeah, I think they would be for me the most comfortable. Yes.
At Steve Tyrell's show last night, he did a couple songs from his Sammy Kahn album, and he said something I didn't know. I think he said that you were there, Mary. He said Sammy was nominated for
Many things.
23. I think he said 20. No, he won. Did he win 23 Academy Awards? Something crazy. He was. I mean, dozens of Academy Award nominations for all those.
I know when I was over at Tita's house, Tita Khan, I saw all these Academy Awards. I tried to walk out with one, but she caught me. Actually,
I mean, this music. Some of these songs are just so everlasting, if you will. I mean, and they sound as contemporary today as anything else that's out there, and some of Sammy Kahn and Jimmy Van Heusen's songs especially.
I mean, there's some songs on there that I did when I very, very first started recording, like I Ain't Sharon, which is a real funky tune, Doc Pomus, Morty Schumann song, and those kind of tunes. I don't think anybody plays today, really.
Yes, ma'am. Your mic's on.
Where are you going to be going after the Catalina performance?
I go to Vegas.
And where?
At the South Point.
Where's
You've played there before.
Yeah, I play there all the time. I've been there for about 9 years, maybe 8-9 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
where's that?
I love it. It's right the very beginning of the Strip. It's on I-15. It's a huge hotel, beautiful hotel. Glenn Campbell, Tony Orlando. I can't tell you who doesn't play there. Everybody, Jerry Lewis, a whole bunch of people. It's a great it's a great room. I love the room. It has the largest indoor equestrian center.
Really?
Yeah, in the country.
Jimmy Darin on MartiniInTheMorning.com coming up on Thursday at Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood. I was just looking through. Let's see. What did I play earlier? I played "You Better Love Me." This hit thing has opened my eyes because it's this new CD from Jimmy Darin, "Goodbye Cruel World." It's a compilation of your first 4 albums, and it made me start looking through and trying to think. Wait a minute, why don't we have this one? Like we don't have your version of "P.S. I Love You."
That's a good one. That's one of Nancy's favorites for sure.
You and Nancy Sinatra are really close. You have been for a long time.
Yes, since about 1958. Yeah, no, I absolutely adore her. She's my dearest friend.
And you guys did, and you haven't done your own show here in Southern California in a long time, but you and Nancy and Frank
Jr.
Yeah, did a show.
Yeah, I would love to go on the road.
People are still talking about it.
I would love to go on the road. I keep telling Nancy, let's you and Frank and me go on the road. We'd have a ball. I mean, first of all, with his knowledge of music and he getting the band together, and I know it's going to be perfect, And Nancy and I would have fun.
Frank organized. We did a show with Frank many years ago in 2003, I think it was, with Frank Jr. and Steve Tyrell and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and
at Universal.
Yes. And Frank Jr. arranged the band. And,
sure.
And we had. I don't know how many pieces we had on stage. I know I saw the bill later, but I think we had 47
If I had to have somebody choose musicians and put a band together, it would be Frank Jr. Because he gets, the creme de la creme,
There's something special about that. Like this band, who are you going to have on stage with you this?
I have a great drummer, Matt Johnson. Dave Siebels is great. Michael Stever, was recommended by Rick Baptist. I know he's great. Bob McChesney, trombone.
One of the greatest trombone players in the world.
And Bob Kyle, sax. There'll be a lot of really good players up there. Dominic Genova on bass. There's going to be a lot of really good players.
One of the advantages to living here in Los Angeles and doing a show in LA and New York's like this as well, but you have access to some of the best musicians in the world.
Yeah, we're lucky, aren't we? You're in LA or you're in New York. I call Rick Baptist and I say, Rick, put a band together for me, and what can I tell you? They're the best.
Jimmy Darin on MartiniInTheMorning.com. The new album, I didn't even know we were going to get to talk about a new album. It's called Goodbye Cruel World. The first 4 albums from Jimmy Darin. Album number 1, the ironic title of the first album.
I love that title. I think it was so great.
And that's always presuming there will be an album number 2.
Number 2, yeah. We never did number 2. They had the other one called Love Among the Young, which was a number 2, but never an album number 2, which was kind of bizarre.
That would have been maybe that should be your next album.
Yeah,
album number 2.
Cool, yeah.
And at some point you do album number 3. Jimmy Darin on MartiniInTheMorning.com. You can see him Thursday night, Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood. And then when are you in Vegas?
In December. I don't know. I can't remember the date.
South Point Casino. In December. And from the new album, the song that we were just talking, you said this is, I think this is the one you said is Nancy's favorite?
P.S. I Love You.
Jimmy Darin on MartiniInTheMorning.com. MartiniInTheMorning.com. Jimmy Darin from this This is a great collection.
It is a nice collection.
Although it makes me feel very inadequate because I go through here and I'm like, oh, wait, we should be. Why aren't we? Why don't we have? There's so many great songs on here that we don't have in our library that we're gonna have to do some updating.
Well, it shocked me that they even did that. I mean, it was a surprise. I had no idea.
Really?
I was on Amazon one day and I saw this. I said, man, that's cool. And it was just released.
You found out about it on Amazon?
So help me. Yeah. It was, the liner notes were written in December of 2013. It was released about maybe 2 or 3 months ago
Don't they need your permission?
No.
That's-
Nobody needs my permission. They just need the publisher's permission more than anything. And the record label, of course.
But
And
not you.
A picture of you and Sandra D.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you didn't want it out, too bad.
Yeah, too bad.
Well, of course you do want it out because it's
Too bad,
wonderful.
yeah.
But
That's a whole funny story about the music business. It's just like the battle that we fight as a digital broadcaster, the whole royalty thing that you hear about it's in the news all the time because Congress is debating on what to do about this. But everybody's the radio station should be paying royalties because we got to pay the artists. It's not about the artists; it's about the record companies getting the money. Because
Sure.
like let's say
And
that
publishers.
yeah, well, the writers, I kind of get that. ASCAP and BMI,
Sure.
but the way as an example, let's say that one of your songs that an advertising agency comes along and they want to use one of your songs in a commercial.
Well, I've done that.
But who makes the money? I mean, who makes the lion's share of the money? Oh, you do? Oh, well, never mind. Because in the case of a lot of artists, they're not recouped on a project.
I have one out right now, Bank of America.
You're in a Bank of America commercial?
Yeah, it's Come Fly With Me.
Oh, I heard that.
Yeah, and I did one for Ralph Lauren.
Really?
I've got you under my skin, yeah.
But for a lot of artists, the record company owns the masters. And
Yeah.
how does that work?
Well, after 5 years, it depends on your deal. You could just, after 5 years, if you make your deal that way, you own the masters.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Jimmy Darin on MartiniInTheMorning.com. You in the first song we played at the start. Oh, well, we're late. We're running over. Are you in a hurry?
No.
The first song that we played, "It's Nice to Go Traveling," which is new, right?
Brand new.
You mentioned you get a little Philadelphia,
yeah.
Philly thing in the song. You have a great history in Philadelphia.
Well, I love that town. It's it will always be my hometown, no matter what. And even though I've lived in California most of my life, but it's a wonderful city, and the people are so friendly. And
Except for Mother Miriam's from Philadelphia.
I know, but they are friendly.
We won't
people.
hold that against the city.
They're great, and I don't know.
we are a separate community. Philadelphia people
Yeah.
just know one another.
Yeah, it's like
Very
we're all
warm.
related,
Yes.
and for all we know, we may be.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, this is your cousin. That's my cousin.
right.
Oh, he's my brother-in-law. It's amazing, especially South Philly.
Really?
That general area. Yeah.
Do you get back there very often to play?
Yeah, I was there recently, about 4 months ago to work. Yeah, I absolutely love it, and I love working for them because, of course, they're prejudiced because I'm a Philadelphia guy. So they're they love me.
There were some great back in the day. There were some great clubs in Philadelphia.
Oh man, Frank Palumbo's was like the club, and I worked there many
about the
many
Latin
times.
Casino?
Latin Casino. That was like the club.
The place.
Yeah, it used to be on Walnut Street originally, and they had
then moved to Cherry Hill.
every major star, and then it moved to Cherry Hill. You're right, but it was every major star played the Latin. Every major star.
Really?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah.
Did you ever have any like surprises? You go back to one of the old clubs, you see old friends.
I mean, back in Philly?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I make it a point to see my friends when I go back there. I go to one of my favorite restaurants, which is Ralph's, owned by my friend Ralph Despino, and it's been there over 100 years. It's the oldest restaurant there.
Really?
Yeah, my grandfather used to go there.
Any of the stories you hear about Philadelphia, the
Liberty Bell?
no, not the Liberty Bell.
You mean the water?
The water?
Well, Ed Sullivan asked me one time. I was doing his show, and
You did the Ed Sullivan show?
Oh yeah, about 4 times I guess, maybe 5. But anyway, so I'm on the show, and I'm sitting in the audience, and he says to me, "It's interesting that so many singers have come out of Philadelphia," and I said, "Yeah, it is." He said. I said something, and then I said, "Well, maybe it's the water." I said to him jokingly, and he looked at me and said, seriously, it's interesting. Have you had anybody look into that? Yeah. Had this urologist look into it. Yeah.
Jimmy Darin on martiniinthemorning.com. You can see him if you're in Southern California. You can see him Thursday night at Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood. But do make your reservations now, and be sure you tell whoever answers the phone, Catalina or Manny or Danny or one of them. Make sure you tell them that you heard about it on martiniinthemorning.com.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Darin on Martini in the Morning. MartiniInTheMorning.com. Sophisticated lady. I guess we could dedicate that to Mother Miriam, but then we'd be nailed for false advertising. So, Jimmy Darin on Martini. You're a very cautious guy. You're not laughing when I poke fun at Mother Miriam.
Very cautious.
Yes,
Jimmy Darin on MartiniInTheMorning.com. It's always fun to have you in. You've over the years, you've told some great stories about the entertainment business, about probably some stories you probably shouldn't have told.
Yeah, probably. But I've been, as people tell me, you're blessed, and I am, because I had the opportunity to work and meet and get to know so many incredible people through the films that I've done, through the recording, and if someone becomes a friend, it isn't by accident. It's because the chemistry is right. You don't just work with somebody and they're becoming a friend. It's a chemical thing. I mean, I love Bill Shatner. I read things about Bill that are not complimentary, and I said, well, they don't really know him. Like I know him, and I was just with him in London. And I just love him. We have a great time together. He's an extremely funny guy, incredibly bright and well read.
I wanted to get him in because he did. I told you about our Twin Spin things that we do, Twin Spin Tuesday, and occasionally, because I got a request from somebody who is a Star Trek fan and knows that a couple of people who were on Star Trek have recorded standards, like the gal that played. Oh my gosh, I can't think of her name. One of the gals from the show did an album and did some standards, and Bill Shatner put out a version of It Was a Very Good Year. And we play that occasionally back to back with Frank Sinatra's version of it.
Oh, that should be interesting.
I was somewhere the other day and they were playing a clip from, and I forget why, it was somebody we were working with that did a guest shot, I think, on Boston Legal. Oh no, we were at the lunch in the Pacific.
He was brilliant in that.
Pacific Pioneer Broadcasters. Who did they honor the other night? Dick Cavett. For some reason, there's somebody else that was there. They were showing clips of this act. Oh, that other actor that they honored, and I feel terrible. I can't think of his name. He did a guest shot on Boston Legal, and they were showing him. He's a character actor. Anyway, there's a shot of Bill Shatner sitting at the one of the attorney's tables, and I sat there and very quietly I said, Denny Crane, because I love his role on Boston Legal.
He was great.
Mad Cow.
Yeah, no, he was great. Pull my finger.
He was remarkable on that show.
Unbelievable. I swear to you.
I mean, everything he's done, and you worked with him on
T.J. Hooker.
T.J. Hooker.
I got the sweetest note from Bill, which of course I kept. And it's when the show was over after 4.5 years, they had done it for 5, but I came in about 6 months into the show. He said in the note, Jimmy said, "I will. The show is over. I will miss not doing the show, but I will miss you most of all."
Wow!
I thought that was the sweetest thing. Isn't it sweet? I mean, I was so touched by that, and So like I said, it's a chemistry thing. You meet somebody, you fall in love, and the rest is history. You stay there forever.
Of all the people that we've had on over the years, I said this to my old friend and mentor, really, Gary Owens. I said it many times to Keely Smith, and I will say it to you: write the book.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, really. I mean, some of the stories you told. My
He's
favorite.
egging you on to talk about Frank. I
No. You've told some great Frank Sinatra stories, but my favorite story that you've ever told us was the story about the fellow who got upset with you.
Oh yeah.
And you found out through the grapevine that he was gonna
lump you up,
to
say the least.
Then you get to Philadelphia and you find out he got his.
Yeah, he got his. Yeah, he sure did.
I mean, you told some great. I mean, and some of the Frank Sinatra stories and things that you've told over the years. I'm saying this to you because I told somebody this last night. I was at Catalina and a lady said, "I've been listening to you on the radio since you started at KLAC," and she said, "You have to write some of this down sometime."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah," and I tell everybody, write the book. You have lived such a rich and interesting life. Do you have the Edie Gourmet syndrome? Edie Gourmet said, Steve said, or somebody suggested somewhere along. I know who it was. Our mutual friend, my old colleague from the radio station, Lou Simon. Lou is the biggest Steve and Edie fan in the world, and Lou talked to Steve about writing a biography, and Edie said no.
Yeah,
because you don't write the book until.
Yeah, it's interesting because Steve's a dear friend. I speak with him occasionally, and I really love him. He's a good person, and to me, Edie Gourmet, forget it. I mean, Steve as well, but Edie Gourmet was a killer singer. She was. There's nobody better than her for sure. But anyway, I always told Steve, because we talked about books, I said there are things that I want to reveal, but I fear that it's going to offend. I don't mean just things that I would tell about my young life that may upset some people.
Some things you don't want your grandkids to know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But always,
and that would be an honest book. In other words, if I would write a book,
right,
like memoirs or something, to me that's like, forget it. I want to write a real book with a true story, a real story with not every detail, of course,
right,
but enough to make it interesting.
And it is hard. I mean, we know folks from famous families.
Sure.
I one example I can use: Holly Foster Wells, Peggy Lee's granddaughter. Holly's working with what's her name? Miriam. Drew. The actress.
Drew Barrymore?
No, not Drew. Reese Witherspoon.
Oh.
Reese Witherspoon is going to do Peggy Lee biopic, and
really?
And actually Nora Ephron was writing it and was almost done before she passed away, and now they're working with a new writer and director, but. Holly, I said, one of the challenges for a lot of families whose job it is to maintain the legacy of a famous father, grandfather, whatever, one of the challenges is which stories do you want included? Because there's some people, some people will say, well, we just want the truth, but there are different versions of the truth.
Yeah, of course there are. There are many different versions. I would not be knocking anyone because I really truly have no one to knock. Seriously, I have no one to.
Except the guy that wanted to kill you.
Well, I just thought he was being foolish.
Well, I guarantee you, if somebody's trying to kill me, I would think that was foolish too.
But I mean, I wouldn't be criticizing anyone in a book were I to write a book, but I would be saying things that might hurt other people, because you're telling the truth about someone who did this or that. And I'm dying to write a book. I really am. I swear to you. But there's certain things stopping me that I don't know if I'll ever overcome it. And I talked to Lou Simon about it a lot. I mean, Lou and I talked about it. He says, let's do it. I
Yeah.
say, okay. And I will meet next week. And then next week comes and I say, I can't meet you this week. I can't. My head's not there yet.
Yeah, Lou's going to write a book with somebody. I mean, and I hope, because he is such a big Lou. If you don't know, Lou and I worked together at the radio station here, and then and Lou taught me so much about this music because he is a musical encyclopedia. He knows and he studies. But Lou, and I want to remind Steve Lawrence. We tried to get Steve Lawrence in when Ron Dante, who put up a nice post on Facebook about your show.
Yeah, he's a good guy, good friend.
We had Ron in when the recent Steve Lawrence album came out.
Right.
Ron produced it, and I told him the story, and I wanted to get Steve in to remind him of the story. We were still on the radio here in LA, and it was the third anniversary of the radio station. In fact, I think you came in or you called in. I don't remember, but Nancy Sinatra called and Frank Jr. called, and out of the blue, and we had set those. We knew they were going to call, but out of the blue, I get we had a little performance studio, and I'm in there, and the switchboard calls, and they said Steve Lawrence is on the phone, and I said, wow. That's cool. And so
Sure.
I get on the phone with him. He said, yeah. He said, I'm in town working on, I think it was NCIS. And he said, I'm listening to the radio and I hear it's your anniversary. I thought I'd call in. And I thought, okay, who's the biggest Steve Lawrence fan in the world? Lou Simon. Lou is now he's the programming guy at Sirius for the Sinatra channel. And but anyway, so I buzz up to the studio. And I tell Lou, you got to come down to the performance studio. And he said, why? And I said, there's somebody you got to talk to. So he comes down to the studio. And so I put Steve Lawrence on the air on the phone.
Right.
And I said, I said, Lou, meet Steve Lawrence. And I don't think they had met before that. And so Lou gets on and he says, no, this isn't Steve Lawrence. And Lou asked him like 5 questions that only Steve could answer correctly.
Right.
And he answered all 5 correctly, and he said, okay, who is this? It was
Really?
the funny, but
No, I know he loves Steve. Yeah.
they started talking
Yeah,
after
he
that about
absolutely
writing
loves
the book, and Lou would call it Our Love Is Here to Stay, and because that was one of their songs. But you got to write the book.
Yeah. When I talked to Steve, I asked him about working because he should be working, but after Edie's passing, he just can't do it. I mean, he's not there yet.
We tried. We were doing that show at Vitello's, our TV pilot. And we made a run at talking him into. I called his son David and talked to him about. And just, I wish he would perform because he's still fabulous.
Oh, he's great. And as a matter of fact, when I played the South Point in June, he came down to see the show. He and Dennis Bono came down to see the show, and it's great. He's a wonderful guy. I absolutely adore
and the
him.
album that Ron produced for him, including the single that they put out with the old Barry Manilow song that Ron worked on with Barry Manilow.
Right.
I Was a Fool to Let You Go. Fabulous song, and the whole
Steve
album.
does a great job.
But fabulous.
His voice is so beautiful.
As is yours. Jimmy Darin on martiniinthemorning.com. This Thursday night, Catalina Jazz Club in Hollywood, and then on to South Point Casino in Vegas
In
next
Las
month.
Vegas.
We'll keep you posted on the dates. And one of our favorite songs from Jimmy Darin, You Better Love Me, or You Better Write the Book. It's martiniinthemorning.com.